Om Sahanavatu
Sahanavatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Maya. Never had the first word Maya in any class. Maya, is the Kalpita Shakti. Kalpita Shakti means an imaginary power. Imaginary doesn't mean a made up Shakti. Made up only from the standpoint of the Paramarthata, from the standpoint of the Paramarthika Satta, from the standpoint of the ultimate reality. Everything is made up, right? What to talk of Maya? Everything is made up. So Maya becomes the first imaginary Shakti, so to speak. The first thing that is dependent upon Brahman, that separates, as it were, herself from Brahman in order to create. That is, this is also a Kalpita, what's its name? Kalpita means a made up trajectory for the people who say, where did this body come from? Why was I born? When was my first birth as a Jiva? Well, Jiva is Anadi. Why is it Anadi? If it is Anadi, is it also Ananta? Ananta means no end. Anadi means no beginning. If it is no beginning, will also it be no end? No, there is an end. How do you know? What about karma? So if I do action, will I have result of action? Yes. So what should I do in order to get rid of the results of action? Considering that I can't sit without acting. So these are all questions that are asked from the standpoint of the body-mind-sense complex. So the one endowed with a body and hopefully a mind is asking these questions. Who am I, etc., etc. From the standpoint of the ultimate reality, these questions are moot. There is no point in asking these questions because there is no difference at all. Everything all is one is all, everything is just one. And there is no action to defend, there is no result of action to exhaust, there is no rebirth, there is no birth, let alone rebirth. And there is no bandha, no bondage, and so therefore there is no moksha, no bandho, no moksha. Iti esha paramarthata. This is what paramarthata is. No guru, no shishya. Oh, no guru, no shishya, yippee. Yes. No jnanam, because no ajnanam, nothing. This is what is called paramarthata. Paramarthata means that which is all, where everything is just one. But that is not the case, right? That's not the case because we are dealing with a manifest Jagat. Yeah. Which we wish it would be manifest, especially when one is in hot water, one wants the Jagat to just dissolve and resolve. Oh, Pralaya, where are you, we think. When you read the news and it's just so boring and so difficult to understand, wow, where is this world going? So many killings, so many things. And then you suddenly remember Pralaya. Pralaya is that which makes everything all one again, which gets rid of the Jagat in a hurry. So you can say, oh, Pralaya, ajao, come, But really speaking, barring those moments, one has to deal with the world. And what constitutes the world, even before other people, and forget other people and annoying, bugging things and bugging people, is your own body. If you have a body, you have problems. See, nobody is disagreeing. Yeah, because that is the truth. That is the truth. Yeah. So even in a classroom, everybody has their favorite spot. And somebody else takes means the class doesn't go well for them that day. Yeah. Why do you have that favorite spot? No, because I have a sore spot here. That's why that is my favorite spot. So that the sore spot is not activated during the class. That's why I have picked this spot. Spot on. And then what, Then somebody else needs a pillow, but on the day that pillow has been earmarked and initialed, somebody else has taken it. Yeah. Right? Because we had an out-of-town visitor, they didn't know all these things. And they didn't have fear for their life. So they took the pillow. So, like this, you have to deal. Jagat doesn't mean don't look over there. Oh, that horrible Jagat bothering me. All you need for Jagat is Jagat starts right here with your own body, with your own mind, with your own senses. Atra eva Jagataha upalabdhihi. So the Jagat is available wherever there are complaints available. And that starts with the body and continues with the mind and gets amplified with the senses and so on and so on. Really, that's all there is. Jagat means, starts with your body. So, as soon as one is endowed with a body, the problem starts. Think about the first minute of birth. What does the baby do?
Cry.
Yeah. It tries to breathe, it cries, it coughs up, and it's just like, oh my God, maybe it was enjoying some Gandharva music in heaven, maybe it was some kind of a wonderful Carnatic music concert, Gandharva music, and then suddenly the punya stopped. That's why punya trickled down and stopped, and suddenly the desire for something, we don't know what yet because the baby is tiny, something made it take on a body in this particular family, in this particular pecking order. That's all karma. Yeah. And then it cries, it bellows, strengthening the lungs as it were. And that's enough. The body means you are already endowed with a Jagat. You don't need anything else. So then, if you are endowed with a body, if I say these words, this phrase, you are endowed with a body. That means what? You are different from this body, correct? No. You may be different, but I don't feel different. So we are not interested in feelings. We are interested in yathartha. Yathartha means as is. As it is, we have to see. So even the person completely identifying with the body, saying and the mind, I'm restless, I'm tall, I'm this, I'm that, I'm, apangoham, I have only one leg, kanoham, I have only one eye, badhiroham, I have only one ear, no, I have my hard of hearing. All these things, even if one is saying that body identification is there, still that person can be made to sit down and shown that there is a difference between them and the body. Correct? So that itself is a moment of celebration, because even though one is surrounded by the Jagat, literally and figuratively speaking, and the Jagat, starting with the body, mind, sense complex, appears to be the cause of all problems, one is the witness of all those things. That is what has to be remembered here. And then, so therefore this Maya has a very interesting role in this creation from the standpoint of the Vyavaharika Satta. So from the standpoint of explaining and understanding the role of Maya, and from the standpoint of understanding so many things in the empirical world, this body, what is this body again? You don't know. Is the hand the body? No, that's the hand. The finger is the body? No, that's just the finger. No, the whole thing is the body. The whole thing is the body? Yes. So then if somebody is given some prosthetic arms, legs, hands, and a few plastic organs, okay, put it together, make a body. No, it has to be then aspirated with prana. So prana is the body? No, prana is prana. So like this, you can't really say what it is. You can't say what it is not. This is what is Maya. So the Shakti that is responsible for creation. So Maya is nothing but Brahman. Brahman is not Maya. That's what we have to remember. So Maya is nothing but that Shakti that is dependent upon Brahman for the sake of animating, for the sake of populating this Jagat with so many things. And this is where things get very interesting. Because if I know that Maya is dependent upon Brahman, then if one knows that, if one is told that once, Maya is Kalpita Shakti, it's a dependent reality, you are Brahman, you are independent, then one should walk away and say, oh, great, I have gained the knowledge. Wonderful. Does that happen? Say no, so that we can proceed. No, because if you say yes, then I'm out of a job. You have to say no. Yeah. So no, that doesn't happen. Why does it not happen? This is where we come to the topic of sattva, rajas, and tamas. Because, then if you start asking some interesting questions, if I'm separate from the body, then how come I feel trapped in it? Very important question. How come I'm kind of trapped in this body? How come I'm trapped within the states of the mind, with the senses? Then we blame it all on the gunas. The word guna is a technical term and we don't mean it grammatically. Grammatically it means strengthening of vowels. When a becomes o, etc., And, when u becomes o, e becomes a, etc. That is first level of strengthening is called guna. That's not what we mean. Here also it's a technical term that shows the fact that when Maya creates, she does not create unconditionally. It's almost like she's weaving things into a tapestry and the threads are sattva, rajas and tamas. Or she's painting on a big canvas, Brahman. And the colors, the colorations are sattva, rajas, tamas, three primary colors, and she mixes, matches, she has all these palettes, and she makes this whole universe. I saw a documentary once, some kind of a movie, where this nomadic group of carpet makers from Afghanistan, they were just going from place to place, making their carpets and selling the carpets. Joint family. So there was mother, father, son, two sons, two daughters-in-law, and one unmarried daughter, and one more relative who was just dependent on them, who was just going. So all these people, and of course when there is a small, group of people, always moving, eating, sleeping, working together, what happens? Yeah, yes. If anybody was going to say they lived happily ever after, that's the wrong answer. Yeah, lot of conflict, tensions, problems, ego issues. But they had a very interesting way, because they were also some kind of a minority group, and they were, always being targeted, and their people they were nomadic indigenous people, and their people were being thrown into prison and all these things. So they had to have a semblance of unity. So how to have catharsis? They would, weave their stories into the carpets they were making. So, for example, one of the daughter-in-laws who hated the mother-in-law with a passion, made a figure in the carpet, wove to 3-4 inches, which showed a figure, going like this, and another figure bashing it up, This doesn't need a psychologist to figure it out. So the mother-in-law saw that and made the next few more inches of her, throwing away the club and, squeezing the neck, strangling the another figure. These are all expressed in little stick figures. Very sticky situations were expressed in stick figures. And so the family moved on. And then it turns out that the youngest daughter that was there, was being bullied by one of the brothers, and she also expressed it through that. And then it just became this endless carpet, and sometimes they were so angry with the other person's depiction of it, they untangled everything and used the same colors to make their own reality. And when I saw this, I said, oh, this is sattva, rajas and tamas in action. So if you are if you are the one who is the weaver, it's a position of power. That's why Maya has the last laugh, correct? But if you are trapped in the tapestry, you just have to say, let me out, and nobody hears. So this is what Maya does. This is what the whole thing, all the bodies, all the minds, all the senses are under the grip of these three colorations, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And then what happens? Therefore, there is this feeling or notion of bondage. And this is what is called bandha. Being bound, this feeling of being exposed to samsara, being bound by samsara, when you really look into it, is nothing but being subject to the effects of the gunas. So to speak, as though trapped, and we have to remember as though, because if the trapping is real, then there is no tomorrow. There is no point of this. So the trapping is not real. So the entrapment is a notion where the body-mind sense complex is as though coming under the spell of these gunas, and nothing in the universe is outside this tapestry, outside this painting. Everything is there. But what if there is a new thing that has come up? It was already there. It is just being discovered. Starting with everything, like cloned human beings, the possibility is there. Human beings are there, knowledge of cloning is there, a cloned human being is there, possibility is there. So it's all possibilities collapsing. And so therefore nothing is outside this tapestry. Nothing is outside this picture. So from the standpoint of the one admiring the picture, there is great power and appreciation, because when you look at the picture, you see Bhagavan. Who could make this? Only Bhagavan. So when you Bhagavanize Maya, there is nothing but Bhagavan. But if you feel you're trapped inside this picture, inside this tapestry, then it becomes a miserable existence. This is what the Bhagavad Gita has to say about the gunas. The first time the word gunas is used is in the second chapter. Bhagavan doesn't wait that long and to show the importance of this. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Arjuna is told in the second chapter that even the Vedas, which Vedas? The first portion of the Vedas are the product of the gunas. Even the Upanishads are the products of the gunas, really. You can say they are all sattvic. Yeah. Because nothing is outside of the gunas. So even the knowledge of liberation from the gunas has to come from within this tapestry. This is it's a fantastic paradox. Yeah. It is also woven in. And so, he says that you may think that the Vedas are exempt from the gunas, but they are also the product, Vishayaha, products. In fact, the word Vishaya, which means object. The word object itself has a notion of bondage. Vishinoti badhnati iti vishayaha. Vishinoti means that which binds is called object. Yeah. That which binds is object. Vishaya. Vishinoti iti vishayaha. So, these Vishayas, these Vedas, the three Vedas here, are all, what are they? There are 4 Vedas, how come 3? Huh? Usually, we don't count the Atharva Veda, even though it has Upanishads and everything, because it is used for a lot of spells and incantations. So, it is not generally counted. The 3 Vedas. In fact, in the beginning, there was only one. And then, because it was hard to memorize, it was divided into 4 by Vyasa. That is why he's called Veda Vyasa. And given to people to keep. That was his contribution, otherwise it would have just been gone. So, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha, these Vedas, the 3 is for the Gunas, not for the 3 Vedas. All Vedas are the product of the Gunas. O Arjuna, the 3 Vedas are just the product of the Gunas. Nothing, they are not outside the Vedas. The Gunas, the Vedas are not outside the Gunas. But you, O Arjuna, Nistraigunya Bhava, you transcend the Gunas, please. This is a head-scratching moment. First of all, the word Guna has not been defined by Bhagavan. And he's being taught here. He was told, that this is the knowledge that frees. Karma binds, knowledge frees. And the Atma is achedyo aham, adahyo aham, ayam. This is, you are not, the Atma is not subject to fire, subject to any of the other 4 elements, subject to death. Like an old cast-off clothing, you discard the body, take on new bodies. All this was told. And then, the Veda, which is supposedly a freeing agent, is also the product of the Gunas. But you, O Arjuna, become free of the Gunas, become Gunatita. Ayyo, how to do that? How to do that? And how to do that, he says, Nitya Sattvasthaha. In order to do that, you have to catch hold of one of the Gunas, the least troublesome one. Which is that? Tamas. No? Rajas. No. What is left? Sattva. So that's why we begin today with a description of Sattva. Because then, even though this was told, Nitya Sattvasthaha, be always with Sattva, be in Sattva. Sattvasthaha Sattve Tishtati iti Sattvasthaha. We don't have the Devanagari. So, then we fast forward to what is chapter 14. There is the word Gunas used before as well, but we'll go straight to the source of where this is defined, And then in the 5th verse, this is the definition that is given of the Gunas. We look at them. Sattvam rajas tama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. There are 3 gunas. What are they? Sattva, rajas and tamas iti. Thus, this is how they are known. And what are they? Prakriti sambhavaha gunaha. They are born of Maya. Maya babies. Yeah. They are Maya babies. And what do? What is their job? They are a agent of, they are like glue. Gorilla glue. Nibadhnanti. Their job is to bind. Even in cooking, you have to put some corn flour or something to bind the things. To making soup or whatever it is. Corn flour, or what is that? Some starch, chickpea flour, corn flour, something you put, so that it doesn't all curdle. So that it just binds and is smooth and nice, Yeah. And so, Maya is the gluten, even for the ones on a gluten-free diet. Maya is the gluten. The Maya is the gluten because she gives birth to Gunas, which are the gluten of what? That bind individuals, and we have to add as though. Nadi Iva, Adi Shankara adds that, And who does it bind? Dehinam, the indweller of the body, where? Dehe, in the body. First bondage is where? Ayyo, I am in this body. Which body? The body that feels like a nobody. I am in this body. I am in this mind. Never mind. It doesn't remember anything. I am in these senses that keep running after this, that, and the other all the time. So this is the whole problem. So the first bondage, first notion of bondage, as I was explaining earlier, is what? The body, is a binding factor for the owner of the body. So the owner of the body should be able to jump out of the body and have an out of body experience at will. Correct? But this is not possible. The owner of the body, even though they may say, let me out, is still in the body. And even the person who wants to die has a numerous complaints. Oh, Yama, where are you? Can't just go and greet Yama. Right? Yeah. Yamaraj, where are you? Yama will not come. Why? Maya says, wait. Wait. Don't come right now. Why? Tick, 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 tick. Yeah, there is still more, few million more tick, tick, ticks of Udana Vayu to exhaust itself. After that, so it's not on you. Just because you don't like this body, you can't come out. You can't come out. What about suicide? No, that is, that's an exception. That's not the rule. And suicide also, so many times people attempt, nothing happens. They survive. I know so many people. It's not that they don't want to go, they want to go, but somehow Bhagavan has intervened, they have survived. Amazing. And so like this, it's not in one's hand to jump out of the body even though one wants. This is itself called an entrapment. So the body doesn't come by itself, hopefully, thankfully. Body also comes with a mind, with a head, and a mind inside that. Brain, mind, everything. Body comes with feelings, chittam. Correct? Body comes with sukshma sharira, prana, etc. Body comes with hunger, thirst, all these things. So this body is a huge problem because that's where I feel the gunas very, very intimately. Something that needs to be fed and watered, every 4 hours. Here this person can't even take care of a potted plant, and then you have to take care of this body. How is that possible? You have to feed it, you have to water it, you have to bathe it. If not for yourself, for the sake of other people that you live with, you have to, bathe it. You have to keep it clean, you have to keep it clothed so that other people don't freak out. Yeah. You have to keep it clothed, you have to give it things. And then it says, I want this, I want that. Body doesn't say. Here now we are graduating to the mind. Oh, I don't like this person. Okay. I'll make sure that you're not around this person. How about this person? Yeah, this person I like. For how long? 6 months. After that, what? This person reminds me of that person, so therefore I don't like them either. It's all the gunas. Talking. So the body, is a problem. The mind is a bigger problem. That's where samsara is felt keenly, because the dehi is inside, so to speak. The deha, inside meaning what? The dehi pervades the deha. The indweller of the body pervades the body inside. Don't look for some location. Dehi, where are you? That's not the point. The dehi pervades the deha, and the deha includes here the body, mind, senses, everything. And this is a problem, because then the dehi loses sight of itself. Because when one is in a cage, one focuses on the prison. How to cut out the prison wall. How to, make a tunnel. How to get out of here. That becomes the main thing. And that's why the term nibadhnati is given. So these are the three things, and how they bind. It is going to be given, in the next verse. The first one is described as sattva. What is sattva? Because we believe in the Upanishads on starting on a good note. Shubharambha. Yeah. So we start always with sattva. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukhasangena badhnati jnana sangena chanagha. Tatra means atra, actually, here. This sattva is the first guna. Why? Because it's the least problematic. It is the most evolved and the least problematic. Sat means what? Sat Chitananda, that Sat, the source of that existence. Sattva, Sat plus Tvam, Sattvam. So that which is very close to Satchitananda is Sattva. Very close. And people have translated this differently. Godliness. That is one translation I have come across. Nice it is. Or you can say a sense of well-being, a sense of a mature response to the universe, a sense of refinement in tastes and in what one consumes. Refinement doesn't mean expensive. I'm very sattvic, I stay in 5-star hotels. That's not sattva. But that's refined. It's not refined, it's just fine, that's all. That you stay in 5-star hotel is fine, no problem. But that doesn't make you a sattvika. Refined in the sense of a samskrita buddhi, where the buddhi is yearning for knowledge. That is sattva. Even if it is knowledge of something, how to construct something, knowledge of astronomy, for example, it's a very sattvic pursuit. Knowledge of astrology, knowledge of astronomy, knowledge of, physics. And so many things. All these branches of knowledge, even though they are aparavidya, there are certain sattvic pursuits. So some branches of knowledge, for example, they are very, very sattvic in the sense that you are pursuing them and you are interested in that. So given some free time, the person will naturally gravitate towards those pursuits, and such a person is called sattvika. And that which makes you gravitate towards such things, satsang, if one is offered, a choice between movie and satsang, that which makes the person choose the satsang is what? Sattva guna. So because these things are not translatable. Sattva means what? You have to just understand like this through examples. So this is sattva. So you choose the satsang, and between holiday and pilgrimage, we saw that this morning, the one who chooses pilgrimage, sattva. Sattva guna makes that choice happen. Because it is nirmala, free of impurities. So sattva is the one that is light, prakashakam. It casts the light on other things as well. It is light, it is enlightening. Anamayam. Amaya is impure, things. difficulties, some kind of a, guile, deception. All that is not there. It is because it is nirmala, free of impurities, and anamaya, free of amaya, then it is, it is prakashakam, it is an enlightening guna. Oh, sounds wonderful. Next line, badnati, it still binds. How does it bind? Sukha sangena badnati. It binds because of its association with happiness. Who doesn't want happiness? Raise their hands. Exactly. Since happiness is universally sought after, and everybody wants this happiness, and so one becomes a happiness hog, and then in striving for this happiness, when that happiness, what makes one happy is sattva guna. And we have to have a caveat here. What makes one really happy, really speaking, is one's own nature, which is happiness galore. But here we are talking of the subject-object response. What makes a person cheerful, dispositions-wise? What makes a person accommodative, compassionate, easy-going, rather than just a bunch of, nerves? Sattva guna. So when one's mindset is sattvic, one is happy. This is something which is very nice to know. So then sattva feeds on itself, and then one wants to be happy all the time. And so sattva becomes, as it were, a binding factor in one's life. Sukha sangena badhnati. And then it also binds in another way, jnana sangena, because the person is interested. I told you, it refined things, fine arts, dance, music. And so those are the things one is pursuing. And why is the one pursuing that? Because that knowledge gives happiness. It all boils down to this. So in order to be happy and cheerful, I rely on sattva more and more and more. Sattva becomes a crutch that one is unwilling to give up, even in the face of Brahma Vidya. This is what the whole thing is. Then somebody asked a satsang question. The question literally read like this: how should I get rid of sattva? Sattva to get rid of is not a problem. Sattva is not a problem to get rid of. Why? Because we have a nyaya, we have a story, which is, which is based on the life of King Harishchandra. Who is King Harishchandra? The one who always told the truth, and then Bhagavan decided to test him and made him go through all kinds of difficulties. Lost his child. First he was reduced, his kingdom was reduced to, and not reduced, his kingdom was marauded and taken over by some other dictator. He and his wife were exiled from the kingdom. They had one small boy. Along with the boy they went, and then the boy was bitten by a snake, died. All this is part of the test. And then in order to upkeep the family, he started working as a funeral groundskeeper. And he had to, cremate his own son. And he was so truthful, he said, I need either a bag of rice or a piece of cloth. And the wife says, come on, we don't have anything. Can't you just burn your own son's body? No, I need a piece of cloth. She says, the only piece of cloth that I have is the one on my back. She takes off that, and then that's when his kingdom and everything is restored. And, the Bhagavan reveals it was a test. So this is the story of Harishchandra. So we have an expression based on the story, Harishchandra Danda. Danda means stick. Why did Harishchandra have a stick? because when he was the funeral groundskeeper, you need a stick. Why do you need a stick? To not, that's all putting it nicely. What happens is that when the body is put on the fire, it gets up. Because there are certain gases inside that make it appear as though it gets up and falls off the fire. So the funeral groundskeeper, and now they have electric crematoriums and everything, these things don't happen. The funeral groundskeeper's job, because the mourning people would put the body on the fire and go away, because it takes several hours for the body to be consumed. So the funeral groundskeeper's job was to keep pushing that body into the fire with the help of a stick. And then finally, the body settles down, starts to burn. And then what do you do with the stick? Throw it also into the fire. This is how sattva is like that. It is used to goad the person back into the fire of knowledge for all the rajas and tamas to be consumed. And when all the impurities are consumed, it is also thrown into the fire. It becomes an offering of its own. So sattva is not a problem. It is clawing. Yes, it is clawing, and it is nice to just be, and it can be distracting. It is clawing, it can be because one wants it more and more and more. One becomes a sattva hog, and it's distracting because, for example, a sattvic person coming to the knowledge might just go off on trying to see what the Sankhyas are saying, what the Nayayikas are saying, what this one is saying, what that one is saying, and forgetting in all this argument what Lord Krishna is saying. Giving that up totally to see, oh, what is this mata, what is that mata, what is this one saying, what is that one saying, what are these group of people here thinking. So you see how the mind is engaged. So the mind wants to always be in a place where it is happy, and the mind likes to be knowledgeable. The mind doesn't want to say, I don't know. Yeah, we see this in India very much. You ask somebody for directions. In fact, don't. But suppose you ask somebody for directions. They will not say, I'm so sorry, I don't know. The reason is different here. It's partly because they don't want to say I don't know, but partly because you are a guest. And when the guest asks for something, you cannot say I don't have, so you just give the wrong thing. Go straight. What happens when I go straight? Go straight for several miles. This I was told once. I was walking in the heat. Go straight. So 6 miles I walked. And what will happen after that? There is one pawn shop. Pawn means there is some addictive substances are sold in a kiosk, some tobacco and cigarettes and this thing. So you ask in this pawn shop where to go. So I did that. Judicially followed instructions. 6 miles or kilometers, I forget. Later in the hot sun, where underneath my chappals I was feeling the road like a chewing gum. It was that hot, where the tar was threatening to come off. And then I walked and saw this pawn wala. First, it was empty. I said, oh no, but he was sleeping inside. Woke him up. And then I said, where is such and such a village, such and such a place? Oh no, you have come 12 kilometers in the opposite direction. This is what it is, So you give the wrong answer. Why? Because the mind doesn't want to say, I don't know. And this is, a sattva, this is what sattva means. It's just this thirst for knowledge. It's this thirst to be in the know of things. It's the thirst to be happy. And that mindset which allows the happiness to come is sattva. So don't ask the question, how to get rid of sattva, because that's not a problem. It's the most neutral of the gunas. In fact, that's why Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in the 2nd chapter, Nistrai gunyo bhava. How? Be free of all the gunas. Why? Nitya sattvasto bhava. You have to add bhava everywhere. Be. Yes. Nitya sattvastha. always be in sattva. By being in sattva, you transcend the gunas. And that we have a few more time left, a little more time left to see that. So we need not hurry with it. So, nitya sattvastho bhava. Always be in sattva. And if you are in sattva, what happens? The other two gunas are easily left off. And the sattva is like Harishchandra's stick. No problem. The other two gunas need the stick of sattva to whip them and keep them in line. So this is sattva. Sattva allows one to be accommodative. So whenever you are accommodative, even if it's for 1 minute in the life, if you said, that minute I was accommodative, sattva prevailed. And all these gunas is in everyone. If you have a body, as it was told in the first verse itself, in the 5th verse itself, if you have a body, you have gunas. Simple. And if you're endowed with a body, gunas have come along. So everyone has sattva. And everyone has the capacity to be sattvic, therefore. This is a nice thing. Everyone has the capacity to be sattvic, but then one is not. Why? Reading on. One is not because of the next one. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Because of the second fellow called Rajas. And here it's described as ragatmakam. Ragatmakam means that which has a very stubborn coloration. And Adi Shankara uses the metaphor of a white cloth dyed in bright red. Then what has happened to that? It's no longer white, correct? What has happened to that cloth? It is no longer white cloth dyed red. What do you call it? Red cloth. The red has been superimposed on the cloth. Who knows? I mean, we are supposing it was white. So too, white is a color of sattva, and on top of that, you superimpose this rajas. Where is the sattva? Bye-bye. All gone. In fact, rajas, ragatmakam vidhi. Vidhi, know this, to, it is it is something that takes over. Unfortunately, rajas has a aggrandizing habit. It's an encroacher. It's a taker over. Can you just be a little red polka dot? No. No polka. No dot. Yeah. I want it all. Can you be a little flower? A tulip here on this white cloth? No. I want the whole thing. I want to be shadowing on the whole cloth. So no longer you can call it white cloth dyed red. Why would you use so many words when the white is no longer obvious? So that shows the pervasive power of this guna. It is even more pervasive, so to speak, even more powerful in this negative way because of what? Because of this, ragatmakam. Ragatmakam means because of this power to pervade every single thing. This is what is called rajas. Rajaha itself, the word rajas means impurity, dust. So this dusting of this guna, just pervades the whole thing. And then what happens? Trishna, karma, samudbhavam. Why does it take over? Because it has a certain truck with all the longings in the heart. The mummy and daddy of rajas, of course the mummy and daddy of all gunas is Maya, but Maya is the non-local mummy, but the local mummy and daddy of rajas is what? Trishna. Trishna means longing, thirst, and then karma. Krishna is mummy because feminine, and karma is daddy. Yeah. Krishna, longing. Sattva also there is longing. But the sattvic longing, sattvic Trishna is for Krishna. Krishna Trishna is sattvic. But any other Trishna is what? Rajasic. Trishna means longing. Longing for what? Everything. Give me this, mine, want, give me, all these things. Longing. And longing comes out of a sense of not belonging. Yeah. Not belonging means ajnanam. Yeah. Not belonging means one is left to be longing. Yeah. Not belonging, longing, and the longing is not going to make you sit quietly. Whenever there is longing, there is activity. Because that longing is going to goad you. Like these buffaloes don't move very quickly because they embody the third guna, which we haven't yet come to, which is what? Slow. Even it may be raining, they'll be standing there, untouched. They have Teflon skin that helps, but still, so the buffalo trainer or the buffalo herd, the person who is herding the buffaloes, has a short little stick with a sharp end called goad. So they would, a cow, if you say, horse, if you say, they will get up. They understand the sign language. They are little more sattvic. They will get up. But the buffalo has to be goaded. Get up. Okay. So likewise, that which goads the longing into action is rajas. So the rajas depicts both, manifests both as the longing itself and the pressure to fulfill the longing. It gives you pressure. You can't sit quietly when you're thinking of chocolate cake. First, it's just a fancy, and then one gets righteous about it. It's my imagination. I don't have to pay money. I can just contemplate. This is contemplation. Yeah, I'm doing nididhyasana on chocolate cake. What is it to you? And again, the second chapter illumines this very clearly. First, there is Sangha. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. Dhyayataha means for this person doing dhyanam on what? Anatma, chocolate cake, something inconsequential, but where the longing has got stuck. It could also be world domination. I'm just using chocolate cake as upalakshana, okay? Because we want to have a good time in the class. Because we don't want to take the world domination to its ungainly end. So whether it is chocolate cake or world domination, doesn't matter. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. For the contemplative person, contemplating on this vishaya, chocolate cake, what happens? Sangasteshu pajagate. A certain longing starts to develop. This is rajas. Oh, the taste of it. Oh, the smoothness of it. Oh, how nice. Oh, now it comes in vegan variety. Without eggs, I can also enjoy. How nice the person is thinking. I'm not thinking that, okay? Yeah. Person is thinking. Person is thinking. And then what? Oh, quickly time goes and why? Anyway, so then, sangahateshu, vishayeshu, with reference to those vishayas, sangaha, an attachment of fondness develops. First, it's just a fondness. I love chocolate cake. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. From this innocent sangha, sangha develops. Whenever the word comes, it is trouble. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Till now it was not a kama. It was a kama wanna be. Yeah. Just not, you can't call it a desire. When you just think of chocolate cake one time, it's not a desire. It's just a fancy at best. The fancy turns into a kama by the dwelling meditatively on it. Chocolate cake-aya namaha, chocolate cake-aya namaha. You keep saying, and then the mere fact of dwelling on it makes it into a full-fledged kama. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. And then the chocolate cake is sighted, right? Where in the other person's bag, belonging to them. In fact, they are looking at it admiringly because they have purchased, let us say, the chocolate cake took the legs unbeknownst to you to that, what is that shop? Sweet Life. Chocolate cake made the legs walk to Sweet Life. Still nothing wrong. You are still going behind the kama, behind the fancy, which is now becoming a kama. You enter Sweet Life. They are about to close because your karma. Anyhow, so and then the last chocolate cake is sold to the customer in front of you. Ayyo, travesty. You can't tell them, at least give me a slice, because they have got happy birthday inscribed on it for something. They are taking it for a function. So you can't tell what will they go and tell the cake? For the birthday person, one slice is missing. A cake like a coconut. Coconut is auspicious in Asian cultures and in Indian culture. And here the cake is there is a wholeness around it. You can't just cut out a slice and then say happy birthday. There is an aruchi in that. So you can't ask the person also. Kamat krodho bhijagate. So the kama, which is thwarted here, because the kama could not be fructified, it turns into what? Krodha. Any time a kama is blocked, turns into krodha. This is the power of rajas. That's why it's not so innocuous. That's why it spreads through that whole cloth and colors it completely. And through that coloration, the mind cannot even see. Kamat krodho bhijagate. This, we would not understand, because we would repeat this and we would not understand how kama turns into krodha. And then Pujya Swamiji explained this. A thwarted kama turns into krodha. This is a very big thing. So another aspect of rajas is the deterioration of kama, desire, into anger. The mutation, like a virus, of kama into krodha is the product of rajas. This is a problem. Why? Because look, from one chocolate cake where I have landed. Kamat krodha abhijayate. So the kama gives birth to krodha. All because of a little fancy aha. From aha to the fire of anger, which turns into swaha of the person's goals and pursuits. Not a very far, thing from aha to swaha. Finished. Swaha means basmi kritam. Everything has gone to the, ashes. Kamat krodha, the anger. Whenever a desire is thwarted, anger comes. So whenever you are angry, think of what you could not have your own way. That's what it is. When you can't have something your own way, anger comes. Oh, that's the end. No. Bhagavan Krishna has a lot more to say on this topic. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. What is sammohaha? Yeah. From anger. After anger, what happens? Delusion. delusion happens because delusion means the person doesn't know what they are saying. How dare you buy the last cake? That was mine. I saw it first. No, but I bought it first. I don't care. It's mine. This is the effect of sammoha. Same thing with world domination. I saw the world first. One dictator says to the other, how dare you become the dominator? I have to be dominating. Same thing. Whether it's cake or planet, same thing. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti. No, sammohat buddhi vibhramaha. So, sammoha, smriti vibhramaha. Yeah. So, because of this delusion, you forget that you are a decent person, or at least you thought of yourself as a decent person. You forget all the good works you have done till now. The person forgets completely. All the wonderful things that have been done, accomplished by the person, is completely forgotten. In that moment of delusion, there is smriti vibhramaha. Vibhrama means the memory. It's a temporary acute onset of dementia of all the sattvic things you have accomplished. Yes. Not a chronic dementia, acute dementia. You've forgotten. And then here, Adi Shankara commenting on this says, this is when Guru Napit Drohayati. So that the Guru is fired. By who? The Shishya. How to fire the Guru? This is what happens when there is Smriti Vibhramaha. One forgets, I chose this Guru. Correct? So the Guru is not hired to be fired anyway. So, but then the Shishya says to the Guru, you are fired. Why? Because I didn't give you knowledge, forget knowledge. You didn't give me chocolate cake. You are fired. Big piece of the chocolate cake prasad was given to another student, not me. Therefore, you are fired. Smriti Vibhramaha. Did you hire the Guru for chocolate cake? No. For jnanam, that is forgotten. Oh, that's all? No. There is more. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. So when the memory of why I'm here, why was I born, what do I really want, what are my goals in life, and the goal in life doesn't have to be lofty. The goal in life just needs to be I'm going to work and coming back and staying out of jail. That could be the goal in life. All that is forgotten. And when forgetting of the main things in your life, when the main purusharthas of your life are forgotten, Smriti Bhramshat, what happens? Buddhi Nashaha, the intellect is destroyed. Oh, what next? There is no next. Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Pranashyati means the person himself, herself is destroyed when the Buddhi is destroyed. Because without Buddhi, there is only Buddhu. Buddhu means foolish person. Without Buddhi, what is there? Nothing is there. Might as well be an animal. Donkey kicks, something else bites. Snake eats its own young. This is Bhagavan's order so that the snake population is under control. It lays 6 eggs and then it is tired. Poor thing. It needs has undergone, maternity. And so it needs some protein-rich food. So it proceeds to eat 3 of the eggs it has laid. Good. Very nice. And a bird swoops down on the 4th one. Therefore, only 2 baby snakes come out to terrify and exhaust other people's karmas. So, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, the person himself, herself is destroyed when there is no Buddhi. This is Rajas in its full-fledged form. You see the whole thing. So there is longing and there is action. So the longing, even it starts off as an innocent fancy. How nice if I were to have this. Then suddenly becomes a longing. And that longing becomes pushes one to action. Here, what is the action? What is a possible action here? Snatch the bag of chocolate cake. Action number 1. Cuff the other person senseless just to make a getaway. Action number 2. These are the possible actions, not good news. Then the law takes action. So this is the thing. And the person has 2-3 years to repent behind the bars. Oh, because of this chocolate cake, I am here. This is so buddhi now. When the buddhi is destroyed, the person is destroyed. Therefore, here it says, Rajo ragatmakam vidhi. Ragatmakam means it's got a pervasive coloring. And then, what is it? Krishna Sanga Samudbhavam. Yeah. So it is born out of an association with longing. Tan nibadhnati. With sattva it was just badhnati. Now it is sukha sangena badhnati. Now it is ni plus badhnati. It ties up nicely. What? Dehinam, the indweller of the body, aforementioned indweller of the body, is as though bound through 2 things. Karma sangena, trishna sangena cha. So these 2 things, the longing and what I should do about this longing, become the activities of Rajas. You can see how, for a spiritually minded person with a clear spiritual pursuit, who has reverence for gurus and who has Shraddha in Bhagavan, Bhakti in Bhagavan, this can be very distracting. Yeah. Tihar jail, where is that? In Delhi. They interviewed some people. Certain people who were in the solitary confinement, who were serious crimes, usually homicide. Homicide of, people they knew very well. Some people had just killed their own children, their own wives, these men, But they were not hardened criminals. They were not habitual offenders. Then this, she used to be a police officer. Kiran Bedi, very, very, enlightened police officer. She went and did interviews with them. She's the one credited with introducing yoga and meditation in all the prisons in India. Really changed the whole landscape of prison life in India. And, she went through a lot of opposition, because whenever you try to do something sattvic, all the rajas of everyone else comes out, of the bureaucracy comes out. So she did these interviews. And these people were just the mildest fellows, especially after meditation. They were like lambs. And then, she asked, what caused you to do this? She said, in this moment of blinding anger, I just shot. I just stabbed. I don't know what I was saying. That is what is the, So the blinding anger comes from a desire thwarted. And that blinding anger leads to action that is very, very intense. Because the action is in keeping, is concomitant with the intensity of the emotion. You see, the 2 go together. So then, for any kind of spiritual pursuit, gone. Life imprisonment means what? 25 years. And this particular man who had killed his wife and child in this anger, he was training to be a priest of a temple. Think about it. He was training to be a purohit. And then this happened, 25 years behind bars. And now he was tending to a little temple a little Ganesha shrine they had in the prison itself. This is what we think. So Rajas can have this kind of an intense effect. This is, Rajas. So we'll see this, from a different angle tomorrow, but I just wanted to show you what the Bhagavad Gita says about these gunas. Then moving on, what does it say? Next one. Tamas prajnanajam vidhi mohanam sarva dehinam ramadalasya nidrabhihi tannibadhnati bharata. Yeah. Next, our favorite. What is that? Tamas. Tamas is born of ajnana. Oh, but all of us have ajnana, no problem. Not that ajnana. Not ajnana of Bhagavan or Atma ajnana, but a different kind of ajnana. What is this ajnana? Ajnana here is apathy. Nah. Why should I do this? Can't somebody else do this? The quintessential procrastination. Here it is not Mula Avidya, Tula Avidya. Tula Avidya means ajnanam of everything else. Don't you know what's happening in the world? Why should I be bothered? What can I do? Can you do anything about it? The tamasic person will ask. Can you stop all the mass, killings that are happening? No. See? Then why read about it? Why should I know about it? But don't you think you should be informed? Why should I be informed? What can I do? Maybe you can do something. No, I can't do anything. Therefore what? Tamaha tu, this tamas, the third guna, ajnanajam vidhi, born of this apathy. And then what? Tamas ajnanajam vidhi, mohanam. It deludes. Rajas deludes in a different way. Rajas takes you to anger. Tamas takes you to inertia. From inertia to inertia. Tamas takes you to inertia. This is what, you see, some disturbing news comes out, in these days. All these stories of sexual harassment and everything. And recently, this woman was being harassed on the street. We had a Draupadi moment there, somewhere in Orissa. This drunken man was pawing her, taking off her clothes. This village woman in the bus stop, in this bus stop, and everybody is going around, and somebody videoed it. I don't know if it was Rajasic or Tamasic to video it. Really. One auto driver videoed it instead of stopping it. Silly fellow. And then he took it to the police, which I suppose the sattva prevailed, and he took it to the police and they were able to catch this fellow because that fellow was there. And so this fellow is, basically assaulting a woman, and everybody, and in the video you see, everybody is going about their merry way. Some of them are stopping to gawk and look for a little while, and then they move. Some of them just keep going. This is tamas. This is tamas, where even the basic human decency and the ability to reach out and stop something. Okay, maybe one person is afraid to do this. 2-3 people getting together, stop that fellow. Tackle him to the ground and just tie him up. Call the police. No. So, this is one example, one extreme example of tamas. But so many times, you're walking, see when something that is thrown which should not be thrown, nobody picks it up. Oh, let the other person do it. Why should I? Why me? Now, why me is a tamasic attitude. So, this is what is this apathy and this inertia, when you can easily reach out and help somebody, or do some, right some wrong, do some, reaching out action. One doesn't, because one just feels overwhelmed by this tamas. So, mohanam. So, it deludes and one starts to rationalize. This is the beauty of tamas. Don't think tamas is all about sleep and ajnanam. No. Tamas is about wrong reasons. It is her karma. Why should I intervene? Somebody said that. When the police came and took the people to task, like, why didn't you stop it? It was her karma. Maybe it was her karma. And where karma is rational, this is not her karma really, but it is rationalized here to do this. So this is what is called, this is a side of tamas, mohanam. Mohanam means, mohana is another name for the Lord. No, not that mohana. Yeah. Not the one that deludes you from samsara and attracts you to himself. That is mohana, which is the name of Lord Krishna. But here, this mohana is different. This mohanam is the one who deludes from correct action. And then you rationalize. Why didn't you do this? Well, that was this karma. Like this, when you rationalize your inertia, one's inertia, this is what is mohanam sarvadehinam. So in all bodies, it acts as the deluder in chief, this tamas. And then what? Where does it fester? And how does it manifest? Pramada. Pramada means neglectfulness. Yeah. Where more things are dropped than picked up. So once in a while you forget something, okay. But every other thing is forgotten. In fact, everything except for eating and sleeping is forgotten. Is not done. Yeah. So this is pramada, is mistakes. In certain vernacular languages, Tamil, pramadam means it is wonderful. That's not the word here. Yeah. Sanskrit, it has a different meaning. Pramada here means neglectful. Neglectful. Always making mistakes, not because the person is not intelligent, but because the person is not using the intelligence. Purposely making mistakes. And why we will, focus on that tomorrow more. I just want to give a broad stroke of each one of what it is like. So, pramada here means deliberate negligence. Because one is just not interested. Like one person, could possibly rationalize. I've given the best years of my life to this company. So that's a reason to be neglectful now? Yeah. Because what's the point? What have they given me? Nothing. They have not given anything back. I, in fact, only got 4 promotions. The other fellow got 6. Yeah, that's because you were neglectful. No, that had nothing to do with it. I was bypassed. And what do I get out of this? This is just big company. Well, why should I care? And then people rationalize stealing also. I'm stealing from, I'm like Robin Hood. Who is Robin Hood? Steal from the rich to give to the poor. This fellow is robbing Hood. That's all. One who comes in a sweatshirt with a hood and robs. That's all. No, I'm taking from the company will not notice. That's not up to you. This is what is that. This kind of a, slothfulness. So slothfulness comes later. This pramada means this disinterestedness bordering on, deliberate negligence. A continuum of disinterestedness to deliberate negligence and wrongdoing repeatedly. This is what is called pramada. Next one, alasya. What is alasya? Ho-hum. Yes, yawning. I read somewhere that if you say the word yawn 3 times, you feel like yawning. Don't try it out. We don't want to invoke, Tamasi Devi here, goddess of tamas. So, so this is, alasya, slothfulness. Why? Why should we do that? There's one king who was very tamasic. Usually we hear in history of Sattvic kings, this was known for being a tamasic king. And he had great, karuna. Karuna means, yes, karuna, a lot of kindness and compassion for all lazy people like him. And he told his minister, the minister is the main minister, Mantriji, yes, I think, people should not work. Because you see, I don't feel like working. So people should not work. And anybody who's feeling lazy like me should just be able to live happily ever after. So build one big palace with many rooms, big facility next to mine. And then send the town crier out with the message. What is the message? Oh, ye lazy ones in the kingdom, come one, come all. The Raja Maharaj is housing you and feeding you. Everybody left their jobs and came to this lazy house. The mantri was already cringing, but the king could not be deterred, because along with being tamasic, he was also very rajasic, and the minister was frightened that his head would be cut off. So he could not go against the order. And then what happened? In 1 month, the coffers of the kingdom was gone, feeding these so-called lazy people. Then the mantri came to the king and said he could not have his favorite drink. King said, why? Because all the money is being given to house these lazy people. Oh no, he says, what should be done? He says, not everyone is lazy, Your Honor. Your Majesty, not everybody there is lazy. If you really want to house lazy people, we should set the place on fire. They will all run away. Okay, do that. And whether he set the place on fire, before even he set the place on fire, he yelled, fire, fire. Half the people ran away. And then the most tamasic of them were still there saying, oh, I don't see any fire, let's wait. Then he was forced to set the place on fire. Then all of them left, except 4 men who were still asleep. One of them said, is summer here already, because the fire was blazing. The other one said, no, it's the sunrise. I see the glow. And the third one also said something inane like this, and the fourth one could not even be roused. So these people were then deemed to be the true lazy ones who could live off the lazy house. Correct? This is what is called alasya. Alasya, slothfulness. Not even waking up for fire. No reflexes. Yeah. The tamo ghana, the tamas is like a dense mass, and so it won't even wake up for an emergency. So this is what is alasya. Pramada we saw, alasya, and the last one is our favorite, nidra. What is nidra? Sleep. No, the correct answer, what is nidra? That which happens in Vedanta class. प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः निबध्नाति भारत तन्निबध्नाति देहिनम निबध्नाति. It binds, because slothfulness is addictive. Doing wrong things all the time is also addictive. Try it. It's addictive. One time you get away, great. Next time also I can do it. It's addictive. Then you feel, why should I do the right thing when I can get away with the wrong thing? Very addictive. Nidra addictive, alasya addictive, and so this is all very, very binding. And what it does to the person, it makes them what we call tamasic. Yeah. So the person is under the grip of this thing called tamas. So this is how, see here, what we saw in this introduction, what we are seeing in this introduction today is how these gunas are manifest in all bodies, and how their characteristics vis-a-vis the spiritual pursuit, how they help or hinder the spiritual pursuit. This is how, this is like just generally, broadly speaking, it's defined. Then, what more is, there are some more things left to be discussed about these gunas. First one is, they have a place, otherwise they won't be there. You cannot say, I want to get rid of tamas entirely, then you will become an owl that is, awake all night long, saying who, instead of who am I, yeah. So that's not fun, to be an insomniac is not fun. And so therefore what? Therefore there is a place from the standpoint of the body, mind, sense complex. There is a place for rajas, tamas and sattva. Sattva, of course, there is a place. And what that place is and how to live in balance is something left to see. We'll see tomorrow. And then, from that standpoint of balance, how to reduce the influence of these gunas in one's life and to live like a gunatita, and what are the characteristics of a gunatita, we will see in the two classes we have tomorrow. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah.
So the gunas apply to humans and our mind and our body, or is it outside also?
Yeah, everywhere. Nothing in this universe is outside of the gunas.
So this is puzzling. So for example, I see some animals.
Yeah. Cow is more sattva, tiger is more rajas, a sloth is more tamasic, that's why it's called sloth. Yeah. And then we have even food, milk, sattvic, they say. Of course, organic milk we have to add now, because in those days they never abuse the cows like we do here now. So, and then, ghee and sattvic and butter, tamasic, even foods, everything, activities, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, everything. There's nothing that is untouched by the gunas, but we are only looking at it with reference to the body. Tomorrow we can see more. How to keep that in balance, how to have a sattvic life by ingesting more sattvic things. You can see all that.
When you were describing that chain of rajas where it goes,
Isn't that intense?
very.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions, or just is it about awakening at any moment of that progression?
No, you can't. When you go too far, you can't really come back. That's why Smriti Brahmsha is a point of no return.
And if you catch it before, like it's
So before, so you have some points of return. When the fancy is there, you put a full stop. Period. Chocolate, full stop. Cake, full stop. Done. Make yourself busy with something else. Here is the good use of rajas to overcome that. So make yourself occupied with something else. This will go. It's just like how you soothe a crying baby. How do you soothe it? You distract it and give it something else to focus on. Same thing you have to do to this crying inner child. You do the same thing. And so fancy turns into kama, and kama becomes determined. And then what? That's another point of, you can interrupt it then. Kama turns into karma, you go to sweet life, then also you can interrupt it by not going there. Okay, you've already gone there, don't enter. You've already entered, close your eyes, don't look at it, because you just know that it's not there and it's, it belongs to someone else. Dharma comes here, buddhi comes here, it's not mine, that person has bought it. Gracefully accept, walk out. No. Up till then, the intervention is possible. Then the anger comes, then also the intervention is possible, because you can count up to 100 backwards, 99, 98, 97, 96. But even then, if you don't help yourself, then it takes over. That's what is called blinding anger. And that blinding anger is delusion. Delusion makes you forget everything, who is in front of you, what you are, etc. And that, the delusion takes over the buddhi and destroys the person. So don't wait till pranashyati. Pranashyati means bad news. Yeah. So any other place, there are certain interventions. Hopefully just at the level of fancy itself, drop it. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan. So the lakshana of a jnani, the first lakshana is prajahati, the one that is able to cast out forcibly, easily, effortlessly. What? Sarvan kaman manogatan. As soon as these kamas take a hold in the form of a small fancy in the mind, the one who is able to dismiss them, like blowing off dust off a surface, gone. And the one who is happy being themselves, that is what is called sthita prajna. So it's not wrong to have fancies, but just be able to not chase after them. That is where one is able to exercise a,
So, as you said, the fancy, you can have a fancy,
yeah,
but if you can satisfy the fancy without having going through all these other things.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
is that okay?
of course. So long as you're not grabbing it
Right.
belonging to somebody else, cuffing them, tackling them on the road. Yeah, sure. Here is another scenario for the same thing. Chocolate cake fancy came. You went to Sweet Life. There were 5 varieties to choose from. You chose only 4 because you are a person of moderation. And then you enjoyed them with your own money that had been honestly earned. Okay? As much as is possible in these days because everything is tainted. But anyhow, so your own money, you didn't, you didn't steal it from somebody, you didn't, take somebody belonging to someone else. And then you come home and enjoy it. All you have to worry about is blood sugar at this point. You don't have to worry about anything, correct? So then it is but that scenario is so rare because the things that one fancies for the most, one gets the least. This is the law of life. It is so that it's not that Bhagavan is wanting to test. Bhagavan is giving you an opportunity to grow. So that's why we focused on this scenario. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Bhagavan talks about that. Bhagavan doesn't say, what is that? Vyagato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajagate Sangat Sanjagate Kamaha Kamat something satisfaction triptihi ajayate. No. Kama is bad news because it is not always possible to fulfill it. In fact, even to fulfill one desire, one has to work for a whole lifetime. Dream house. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. Yeah. To build it is a nightmare. To take care of it is a nightmare. To pay off the mortgage is a nightmare. And then to sell it is the biggest nightmare because nobody wants to buy your dream. They have their own dreams. They'll say, why is the kitchen like this? Why are the rooms like this? It's a nightmare. So, fulfilling desires looks innocuous. It is not in your hands. Really. Some grace has to operate, which most of the time it doesn't. And that is actually the biggest grace. When you don't get these small wants, that means you can want the biggest thing there is, which is the truth of yourself. It leads you to this. So only disappointed people come to Vedanta in the beginning. And that's how it is, yeah. Few things, nothing should go your way. And then you start thinking, where is Bhagavan? Who am I? Why was I put here? If not to fulfill my desires. And then you say, there are some classes. Where is that flyer? Okay. And seeing the flyer, you fly over. That's what happens.
What if somebody is really, truly interested?
There are few. In Vedanta.
Right.
Yeah. Few people are there, yes. But they were disappointed in the other lives.
So when you say in other lives, you mean
previous lives. Because I'm going by what the Upanishad says. Pariksha lokan karmachitan nirvedam ayat nasti akritah kritena. Nirveda means disenchantment. So the one who is disenchanted by the world, only then can you be interested in this knowledge. So without disappointment, how can you be disenchanted? You can't. So it's not a bad thing. If it is channeled properly, disappointment, disenchantment, all the karmas not fructifying is not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's an opportunity to grow out of those desires by seeing that what is this? This is a setup. We're calling the spoof of this. So this is what, some good punya fructifies, and then you use this disappointment in the best possible way by channeling it towards that study which shows you to be a non-desiring person, which reveals the truth of you to be one who, is a non-desiring, non-wanting, satisfied, contented person. And what did we do in the last retreat? Appreciative, non-demanding, satisfied, contented person. And that's what I want to be. Then what is the desire for? Because I don't know that. I think if I have this, that will make me contented. If I have that, that will make me happy. If I have this, that will make me secure. Like a bank account. That, bank account means full of shraddha you have to be, because it's just on your computer screen. You log in online and you see some figures and some zeros. Hopefully the figures should be in front of the zeros. Otherwise it's just 0, 0, 0, 0. Then you feel happy. Ha ha. Good. Oh, I thought I had spent a lot, but still there. Ha. But you have shraddha that really is there. Correct? So that's how it is. So it's just looking at it gives a certain security. And why is that needed? Because I feel insecure as a person, so the bank balance becomes a crutch. But here is when the disappointment leads one to Vedanta, it's the ability to see through the crutches. The crutches themselves are broken. And when you look at a crutch, that is hanging on to another crutch. You thought the crutches were independent, but actually the crutch cannot stand up on its own. The crutch is leaning against the wall, and the wall is leaning on some load bearing, some, bricks and everything. And then everything is leaning on the earth. The earth itself is leaning. If you see the whole thing, if you see the whole 5 elements, from the subtle to the gross, the earth is leaning into the water is leaning into the fire is leaning into the air, the air is leaning into space, and the space is leaning into you. Tasmad va etasmad atmana akasha sambhutah, from this Atma. So, space is born. So then it all comes back to you. You are the one who is not leaning on anything. So let me understand this person who is lean free. No lean, pun intended. So this is what the whole thing is. So the disappointment helps, this disenchantment helps, because everything I thought of as a crutch is really a big source of disappointment, because it itself is relying on something else. So that's why it's not a bad thing. But without this disenchantment, how can Vedanta come into the picture even? Can't. You have to look at the world and say, okay, this does not have the power to satisfy me. I want that which is always there, which always satisfies without leaning on something else. And then you come back to yourself. So whenever, the next time, the desire is not fulfilled, say, yippee. Because you are closer to the knowledge of yourself. Anything else? Okay.